Yo, what's up? It's your boy lemarss, and we're back again today with some good vibes, you feel me? Today we're going to be looking at Bow Windstalker Revamp, and this is actually going to be my first look at it. Unlike some of the other videos I've done recently, I actually have not touched any skills on this class yet. I don't know how they look myself, I don't know how they play, and I don't know how they read. So we're going to be doing it for the first time right here live together. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So looking at the passives, looks like the normal passives. We got the physical accuracy, physical damage increase, physical crit damage, attack percent, the Windstalker bow special, which is pretty much the same special across the board for main classes. And then we have our infinity skill down at the bottom. No changes as of yet, at least as things read. The first skill is arrow shot. The skill has been added. Shoot arrows forward multiple times. So this is a completely new skill, arrow shot. And as it says, it just shoots multiple arrows forward. Let's see. Okay. And immediately off the bat, this is a really clean skill. I like how that looks. And as you can see, you can hold it down. All right, next is arrow shot upgrade skill has been added. If the target monsters burn, the number of strikes increases by 8. This is the upgrade, so we don't have anything that can burn it yet, but it says additional damage plus 8 applied to the following skills: arrow boom, bird hunting, and heavenly bird strike. So I'm going to assume that's these three down here, and I'm guessing these three skills can burn enemies, so we'll get to that later. Next is shining arrow. Shining arrow skill has been changed. So this skill was in the game prior to the update, but it's been changed. Oh, I think I might have my awakening skills on. I do. Let me turn this stuff off. So we already spoiled the awakening version, but the base version looks pretty cool. A stationary skill, has a little lag to it, but not. It's kind of quick. It's cool. It's alright. It gets the job done. Then we have shining arrow upgrade. Skill has been added. If the target monsters burn, a slow effect is added. So once again, another upgrade that affects mobs if they're burned, and it's going to bind them. And then next is going to be storm arrow. The skill has been changed, so this skill was in the game prior, and it's been changed. I also like these new icons. Look at the new icons. They look upgraded. Nothing too crazy, but they do look cool. So storm arrow, this one actually looks like, honestly, this storm arrow looks like it's old awakening counterpart. So the pre-revamp counterpart looks like this. So I'm really wondering, what does the actual awakening version look like now? So that's pretty cool. No additional effects on there. And then we have backstep arrow has been changed, and it doesn't say how it was changed, but I'm guessing they changed the way it looks. So yeah, that looks different. I think I want to say it feels a little different. Like it feels more solid. It's hard to explain. Like it felt looser before, like kind of broken. And then there's backstep arrow enhanced. Let's go ahead and use a BP recover. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that a lot. Look at that. It has an infinite backstep. That's crazy. That's crazy. Infinite backstep as long as you have your special gauge actually charged up. That's super nice. That alone just made Bow Windstalker more viable, because now it's safer to play. Wow. It also says for backstep arrow, if the target monsters burn, a slow effect is added on the first attack. So when you do that first backstep, if burn, it adds a slow, and on the second attack, if burn, it adds a bind. That's hype. That's hype. This class is super safe. I can say that right now. There's no way the mobs can touch you when you're playing this class, as long as you have your EP meter charged. Wow. Next is going to be arrow trap. Has been changed. It removed the movement speed reduction effect. So arrow trap had a movement speed reduction effect before. Let's see what it's rocking with now. That sounds like a nerf. Okay. That's kind of weird. I will say it looks like it's the exact same size, but they added some lasers to it. That's a little underwhelming, but it's still visually appealing. It just doesn't feel. It's just kind of underwhelming. But Arrow Trap has an awakening version, so I'm sure the awakening version is going to be a lot cooler. Either way, it looks like it does something different. Something different is going on there, man. For what it's worth. Then we have our dash, which is a roll, and then the backflips, which are universal across the game now. Okay, we're getting into some good stuff now. So Arrow Boom, the skill has been revamped. Arrow Boom. So now we're getting into our, what I assume to be burning skills. And I don't know if it's me, but it looks like some attacks were removed. Before I even get to the burning skills, let's see. Patch note says Genocide Rain was removed, Ice Arrow was removed, Sensory Amplification was removed, and then the marked skills Bird Hunting, Shining Arrow, and God Bird Strike. Wow. Well, I guess for these three, the mark version of them was removed, but they've just been changed to these versions anyway. So really only Genocide Rain, Ice Arrow, and Sensory Amplification were changed. So 3 skills were removed, which I think is good, because having too many skills just starts to get a little overwhelming when playing this game, especially when you have all these CC effects that are added in there. So let's just get right into these. The first one's going to be Arrow Boom. Let's see. A burn effect has been added at a chance when using the skill. Burn effect, 5 additional strikes for 4 seconds. So when using Arrow Boom, it's going to be a fiery explosion. Remember, this is pre-awakening, and it adds a burning effect. And that burning effect, yo, how long does that burn last? It says 4 seconds, but that felt like way longer than 4 seconds. It also stuns enemies. So it stuns enemies, applies burn for 4 seconds, at least it says, and it does additional damage plus 5, so 5 additional hits off the burn. Pretty cool. I think that's a pretty solid skill for pre-awakening. Just put all of the elements attached to it. That's already way better than its old version. And then let's take a look at Bird Hunting. And then we have to remember that all these skills that apply burns, they have additional effects when you use them in conjunction with, say, Arrow Shot or Shining Arrow and Backstep Arrow. So what I think is interesting about that as well is that before we had the mark feature where you had to mark the enemies, or you had a chance to mark them when you're attacking, and then when you mark them, only these 3 skills could interact with them. Now it's kind of a reverse. These 3 skills are the 3 stronger skills, and they burn enemies, and while burning the enemies, they give the 3 base skills, 3 of the base skills, additional effects when the mobs are burnt. So that's actually pretty interesting. A quick easy little spin on things. With Arrow Boom, or the fire, the Arrow Shot, it does additional damage plus 8. So let's just try that real quick. So I want to burn the enemy. Okay, so we're getting more lines. We're getting more lines there. And then with Shining Arrow, Shining Arrow is going to bind the enemies. So Shining Arrow. There goes that bind. And then the last one is going to be Backstep Arrow, which to my memory is going to slow them, then bind them. So that's a slow, then that's the bind. Boom. So there's 2 ways to bind enemies, and that's with Shining Arrow and Backstep Arrow while the mobs are burned. And then Arrow Boom stuns them and does additional damage when they're already burnt, so by another skill. So let's move along here. Next skill is going to be Bird Hunting. And Bird Hunting, a burn effect that's been added at a chance when using the skill. It says at a chance, but honestly, I feel like it's a 100% chance so far. And then it says inflict damage, additional damage at a 1% a level chance. So per level, it has a chance to inflict additional damage. Okay, so Bird Hunting looks pretty much the same. They just updated the visuals in terms of like the lighting and coloring around it, and that's pretty much the same thing for Arrow Boom. And also I want to say that these skills require EP, and they seem to be pretty EP hungry. But Bird Hunting is going to do 5 additional strikes for 4 seconds when the enemy is burned. And then we still get the benefits of our other skills, such as shining, arrow shot, and backstep arrow. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Pretty cohesive system, pretty simple to follow as well. And the class is just centered around fire. So I think that's cool when you compare it to the X-bow, which is centered kind of around like technology. And then when you compare it to dagger, which is kind of rogue focused or like ninja themed. And so the last skill is going to be Heavenly Bird Strike. This one has a pretty big description. Heavenly Bird Strike. The damage of the explosion, the explosive summons have been increased. So it has explosive summons at the end of it, and the damage has been increased. The number of strikes of the explosive summons have been increased by 2, so more hits, and then the number of explosive summons has been increased by 1. So there's multiple summons. Wow. That's nice. I really feel like this one is a bigger AoE than its previous version. Yeah, that wasn't mentioned in the notes, but I really do feel like that's much bigger. Like it goes further. While the first two skills, they don't seem to have changed that much. But I feel like this skill only went this far, about this distance before, or at least, or at most rather, this far. But for it to go across both dummies, I think that's definitely a pretty big buff to it. And once again, this is still pre-awakening, and so. Pretty cool. Let's see. Leaves a flame zone where the arrow passes and deals damage for 2.5 seconds. Enemies hit. The burn effect occurs for 10 seconds. So this burn effect is 10 seconds instead of 4 seconds because of probably the lingering fire. And probably because the enemies they proc the burn effect multiple times. And then it says additional damage occurs 10 times. The number of targets is 12. So additional damage occurs 10 times when burnt. So essentially it's just super strong when enemies are burnt. Cool. So that is going to be the base pre-awakening bow windstalker. And once again, one last thing, I guess. One last thing. Let's go ahead and check out that infinity skill. And it's the exact same. It's time for the moment of the hour. Let's see what the real class looks like. Let's see what has really changed with this class as it pertains to its awakening. And so first thing we're going to do is take a look at bird hunting. So bird hunting shoots exploding flaming arrows to the front, enhanced explosives. All right, check it out. It looks like the old awakening version, but seems to go a little further. It looks just like it. That doesn't look too different to me. Okay, I like that explosive effect that happens at the end though. That's pretty cool. Enhanced explosives. I mean, it does say enhanced explosives, but you know with LaTale, they never really tell you what that means. They just say enhanced explosives. But still the burn effect is on there, so you can still capitalize off of it with the other skills. All right, moving along. The second version of it summons 2 explosive shards and it removes the mark effect, or there's no mark effect, so I'm wondering if they mean it removes the fire effect, which would be strange for but fire an exploding fire arrow to the front. So let's see. Okay, I'm not really sure what the difference is there. It's like a delayed explosive. Like I really can't tell which one is better. Hold on. Yeah, there's no real way to tell which one is better. I'm gonna go ahead and call lazy on that one. I don't know, that one doesn't stand out to me enough. I'm gonna have to call lazy on that one. Well, let's see. If it inflicts additional damage at 1% of level, how does that apply? I don't know, man. The second one looks better because it does the 3 explosions in the middle, but yeah, the second one just looks better visually. It seems like it's doing more, but they cover the exact same distance and the amount of attacks seem to be similar. So we got 16 combo there, and then for this one we have 18 combo. Yeah, the second one is better. I just don't really understand Maybe something's missing. Maybe I need to read the patch notes for this one. So that's bird hunting. The patch notes say the damage of the explosive summons has been increased. The number of strikes of the explosive summons has been increased by 2. That's for the first skill. And then for the second one, it says the damage of the explosive summons has been increased. The number of strikes of the explosive summons has been increased by 2. The number of explosive summons hasn't been increased by 1. So that just sounds to me like number 2 is better. I just flat out better. There's no benefit to using number 1. It has least effects, and by least effects is really just least hits. That's strange. That's strange. I know I spent a lot of time talking about this one skill, but that's just strange to me. 9 out of 10, if not all awakening skills in the game, there's a significant difference. So this is like the first time I've seen 2 skills that look almost the same. That's just weird. So next is going to be Storm Arrow. I'm really hyped about this one. So Storm Arrow, let's do the before real quick. It looks like the awakening from the pre-revamp. So let's see what it does now that it's actually revamped. Okay, that one looks like the exact awakening from the pre-revamp. Is there anything about that in the patch notes? No, there's actually no notes on this skill. This actually is the exact same skill from the pre-revamp. But just to break it down, it has a 1.5 second stun, a longer cooldown, and it hits 11 targets. So it has a stun. It has a stun and more AoE. I mean, it's a good skill. Like, no shade towards it. I guess they thought it was good and it didn't need to be changed. I'm not sure if that stun is new. To my memory, it is. I don't remember this having a stun on it. So to my memory, that must be new, but it's not actually mentioned in the patch notes. So next skill is going to be Shining Arrow. And Shining Arrow says, sends numerous arrows forward, shield for max HP, and damage mitigation. So Shining Arrow is really safe to use, gives you a shield and damage mitigation, which is really nice. That also looks like the pre-revamp version, but according to the patch notes, it says it added the damage mitigation effect plus 20% while the skill is in use, and the second attack has been removed. So you can only use it once. Before, you could use it twice. So that's like a nerf. But I guess when you add in the flame effects, I mean, you have that bind there, so it's good. And I'm guessing they increase the damage. They don't always mention these things, but I'm sure they increase the damage. And just the fact that all the skills, well, the fact that these burning skills will have this poison effect essentially, or this burn effect, right? They're really the same thing. One's just red and one's green. That definitely increases the damage overall for the class, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like they could have did a little bit more for that one. Yeah, I think they made it stronger. It's a little faster and it doesn't hit twice, but that's pretty much the same skill with some better stats. Like, that could have been a regular patch. Next is going to be Arrow Trap. And Arrow Trap spawn arrows to rain down to the front, do immunity, bind. So Arrow Trap is going to be the pre-revamp version as well. And it's going to give you dual immunity though and bind. Why they gave a summon dual immunity and a bind, that's just interesting. That's interesting. But the class has 3 binds though, so I guess that's cool. 3 binds. You got some stuns. There's like 2 stuns, 3 binds. What else we got here? And a bunch of burn effects, and I'm sure all the damage and the number of hits has increased. It does feel better so far. It does feel better. It's just I'm a little underwhelmed by the awakening features. All right, the last awakening skill is going to be Arrow Boom. An Arrow Boom is going to fire a piercing ice arrow in front of enemies and give dual immunity for the first skill. So Arrow Boom, I guess that makes sense as to why they got rid of the ice arrow skill. So Arrow Boom. Okay, that description is inaccurate. That is not a piercing ice arrow. I guess it was referring to that ice arrow. This is really confusing, and I can see why this hasn't been covered or talked about. But Arrow boom. Based on the description though for this slot, it says the effect on contact has been changed from lifting to knockback. Okay, so this has a knockback effect on it, so that actually will push enemies back a lot in combat. The number of strikes has been increased by 2, and the skill effect has been changed to be the same as Awakening 206. What does that even mean? The skill effect has been changed to be the same as the other slot. What does that mean? Okay, so let's check out the other slot. Fires an exploding ice arrow in front of enemies. That's not an ice arrow. Explosion causes additional damage and disable the stun effect. So it loses its stun effect, but you get a lot of hits. Lose the stun for more damage. And the patch note says the effect on contact has been changed from lifting to knockback. The damage of the explosive summons has been increased. So the summons at the end have been increased. That's weird. So it still has ice all in the description, but the ice is actually removed from the game completely, and the class is completely fire based. So no more ice. And the first skill is going to be stun based, and the second skill is going to be the damage base. Pretty simple. I mean, the fact that you don't really have a choice, but for storm arrow to stun, you already have one stun. You don't really need another, and then you have like 3 binds, right? So there's not really any reason to go for the one that stuns. Just go for the extra damage, because extra damage is better. But that pretty much sums up Bow Windstalker Revamp. Wow. I don't know what to think. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of caught me off guard. I thought it was like something a little bit way more spectacular. Not to say that it isn't good, but it just, honestly, it seems kind of balanced. Like nothing really crazy there. I really expected it to have more range on its attacks. Yeah. The big plus is that the backstep can be used very combatively and very evasively, so that's cool. But the class became completely fire based, so there's no more confusion on the entire mark system or how that works. It's fire based. All right, you burn enemies. That's what the class is all about. No more ice. But I don't know. This is another one of those. I'm gonna have to go play it in actual gameplay to see how much better this revamp is. And I will say it feels kind of simple. Like, honestly, maybe they're just doing a good job of revamping classes to making them actually be viable and balanced. You know, they're not going the revamp into god mode route, but let's just revamp it and make it actually a good class, or a viable class, an option for people to play. And that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. I was just expecting god mode. I felt like some of the Korean videos I watched a while ago were like god mode videos. But nevertheless, some pluses. I definitely think arrow shot is really good. I think just because it's cohesive and it really matches the class, and just the fact that you can already do this with the gunslinger, and it just makes sense to be able to do it with the bow and arrow, just continuous arrow shooting. It's cool. But why would you play this over the other Windstalkers? I guess if you really just like bows, you enjoy the more evasive gameplay style. This is the more evasive of the Windstalker classes, because at the end of the day, where Windstalker competes with Gunslinger is that Windstalker has a lot more passive skill utility when it comes to, you know, item drop rate and gold or Ely gain, while also focusing on crit damage. So it's still pretty strong, but Gunslinger is the more evasive, faster combat, and it's more focused on actual damage. So this really just balances the class out to make it viable to use in late game, because you are able to evade from monsters really easily, and then you can also just bind them down and put all these status effects on them. So it's straight. It gets the job done. Legend skill wise, still got our same legend skills where we summon our boxes and we put down our trap. Then we come over here And we have our L2, which summons the big ship. Hopefully one day Awakening 2 will come out and evolve that. And then we have our L1, or our Awakening L1, which is still the same. Overall, you know, it's cool. Gotta play it in game though. I gotta see how it really feels and put it to the test. But there you have it. That is Bow Windstalker, the revamp in 2023. This is where the devs thought the class should go, and I hope you enjoy it. Once again, this has been your boy lemarss, and I'm out.